Hello everyone, and this is Have Faith, Let It Begin. My name is Angel, and I want to thank you for joining us on this Monday morning as we all head back to work, myself included. We've had an amazing 24 hours to 48 hours on our end. I know that you all know about my surgery. Things are starting to come around, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. But I wanted to continue right off the bat with part 2 of this 2-part series. As we left off on Thursday of last week, you would remember seeing the episode entitled Happy. Why basically I described the title, to be more specific, was called Why So Happy, Part 1, Episode 20. The purpose of that was to describe, how I always was a happy person, and how even in despite of my big surgery in 1996, it put me in a better perspective to know about my faith, which is where I left off. So we're going to continue from there. This is Having Faith, Part 2 to Why So Happy, which ended on Thursday of last week. So this is episode 21, and let's get started. As my faith started to evolve, I was in a relationship at the time of almost 9 years. And in that type of relationship that I was in, I was very young. I was still in my early 20s. I had an opportunity to move to another state, where I moved to Providence, Rhode Island. While I was in Rhode Island, I discovered that my faith would be tested day in and day out. What I didn't account for was the depression that I was going to go into. My depression was a little bit of everything. The main part that was loneliness. I had a very, very bad breakup with my then time girlfriend. And at the same token, I had no family, no friends in the new state of Providence, Rhode Island. I was too stubborn, and my pride got the best of me. And I didn't want my family to know how bad I was doing financially and spiritually. It also put me in bad company with not knowing where to turn to. You've heard this on a couple episodes prior, where my parents had came up for a visit and they asked me to take me to a church that was directly next door. Before I get into that part, let me just describe the things that had happened to me. As I was staying in my new apartment, as I said, I transferred with a company that brought me to Providence. Little did I know that the transfer that I elected to take was probably the best thing that happened to me, but also the worst thing at that time that could happen to someone who was going through a breakup. Let me explain. The manager that I worked for in that particular branch had it out for my mentor. I did not know that. I figured that out after about a year. Believe it or not, it took a year. What I didn't know is that they had a falling out between the two of them. I didn't know, and I don't even think my mentor knew, but for some reason he decided to take it out on me. Now, it sounds like I'm the victim, but really I was just at the right place at the wrong time. He would do things in the office, such as have and hold meetings where they would actually have like luncheons, and he would tell me that the meeting was an hour after it was actually already scheduled, so it would appear that I would arrive late. During the holidays, he made me work every single holiday. He was very instrumental in getting inside my head. Like I said, I was going through a breakup at the time, and my ex and I were kind of fighting and yet arguing over the phone. Every once in a while I would call from my job. Little did I know that he knew when I was on the phone, and he would actually listen to my conversation and then use that against me by saying certain things that would actually, add to my anger or my frustration. It was really tough in those times, and I I didn't know where to turn to. I wasn't sleeping. I became an insomniac for the next 2 years. I forgot who God was. I mean, it wasn't that I was mad at God. It was the fact that I was so sheltered, and my mind was so closed, and I was more worried about people finding out that I was upset, that I tried to put myself into the job. But the job that I was putting myself into was also attacking me, and I didn't know it. I hit a financial struggles where I was maximized 13 of my credit cards. So I don't want to say I was living paycheck to paycheck, but I had to take on 3 jobs in order for me to make sure that I never missed a credit card payment. I was just too against the fact that I knew that if I'm trying to word this the right way, but if I knew that if I failed in missing a payment, failed in missing something, that my ex, would win, because she always told me I would never amount to anything. She always told me that I would never graduate college, that I would never be someone, that I was a loser. And this, again, goes to a lot of the other episodes that I talked about, don't allow people to be rude to you. Don't, always respect yourself, believe in yourself, thank God. Rude people, things happen, stealing your joy, this is the day. These are all part of my struggles during my depression. So the point I'm making is I'll take a quick stop off of my story, is that when you're battling a depression, when you're battling things that are making you feel like you're at the lowest of the low, yes, I can sit here right now and say, turn to God, open the Bible, but let's be honest, okay? A lot of you don't know who God is, and I respect that. A lot of you may not want to, as you can hear the thunder in the background, a lot of you may not want to look in that direction. And you know what? That's okay. I don't want to force religion or relationships with God with anyone. But I will tell you that during that time when I was struggling, I tried to turn to family, but I was just too stubborn to tell them that I was hurting. They saw it, and to give them credit, they allowed me. They watched me, but they allowed me to basically fall, but they knew that if I fell hard enough, they would be there to pick me up. Don't allow yourself to do that, folks. Rely on your family. If you believe in God, if you trust in God, rely and believe in Him. Okay, so let me go back into the story. So during this time, I was struggling, and I was praying, but I wasn't really believing that God could just snap the finger and change my depression. It was at this time that I would cry myself to sleep every night. I literally worked, and I remember one night I was a janitor. I had 3 jobs. I actually was up to 4 jobs at one point, but I cut it down to 3. I was a part-time janitor. I was a full-time person at my job in sales. I was a part-time CVS worker for the pharmacy as it has a title for it, and I can't think of it now. And of course, I'm on the spot. Pharmaceutical assistant. There we go. And then I worked for TGIF Fridays as a server and pick up shifts as much as I can. I remember one night I was working as a janitor, and I'm sweeping up a huge like a Washington Mutual. It was like 40 cubicles, and I had here's my age, but I had a Discman Walkman, and nobody was there. It was late at night. I'm mopping the bathroom, and I just kept hearing my ex saying, "Look at that, you're a janitor. Look at that. This is the what you were going to be. You were going to be a loser. You were going to do this and that, and you were not going to amount to anything. Now you're struggling, and I'm happy, and you're not." And I kept hearing these things, and I just started crying, and I'm cleaning, and I'm crying, and I didn't know my boss had stopped by, and he saw me crying, and he was like, "You got to control yourself, man. What is the problem?" And honestly, out of nowhere, I just hugged the man, and I said, "Dude, I got to cry right now. Can you just bear with me?" And thank God, I'll be honest, he was like, "What is going on here?" He wasn't the hugging type, so he really didn't hug me, but he let me hug him. And he really he finished the job for me. He told me to go home, and told me to take a couple days off, and it was brutal. But that was the night actually that I had gone home and I had been crying. And you heard this story before, but that was the night that my old dog Buster, I talked about this in an episode called "Losing Your Pet." That's when Buster jumped on the bed and he growled at me, and like not a growl, but he did that. I mean, he realized that I had to stop crying. But I gotta be honest, when I went to church, because my family eventually came up for a visit, when my parents told me to take them to church, and little did I know my mom spoke with the people after the church and said, just check on my son, make sure he's good, but pray for my son. I didn't know it, but days later, there was a knock on my door, and it was somebody from my church, and they didn't push it on me. They just said, I just wanted to drop off this, apple pie, and hey, I just wanted to drop off this dinner. Hey, I wanted to invite you to this event. The doors started to open, and I felt at peace. I felt as if people were not feeling sorry for me, but they were telling me, God is listening, and He's going to help you, and we're doing all the things that He's telling us to do. And I'll be honest, I didn't go at first, believe it or not, it took about 3 months. And because my ex and I broke up in September, right after 9/11, actually. It was 2001. And it literally took Thanksgiving for me to... it really, literally took for Thanksgiving for me to go to a church function for people that didn't have places to go and spend it with people. And if you heard the story about the mystery man, that was another part of the process. I encourage you to listen to that episode. There was so many times when I didn't want people to know that I believed in God. And I didn't want to tell my friends and family and share that with them because I was afraid if my friends knew that I was a believer, that they wouldn't like me anymore. And little did I know that other people felt that way. Other people didn't want to share their love for the Lord. But God found a way. And He broke through a wall for me so that He could meet me halfway. And my faith started to blossom, slowly but surely. I can't even say the expression, but we don't edit, as you all know. I don't care how my speeches go, because I believe that when you edit, you're pretending to be somebody you're not. This is just right off the cuff. I can honestly tell you that the day I was able to put aside the pain that my ex caused me, the fact that I was able to put myself first, look in the mirror and say, hey, I believe in you, I believe in God, let's push forward, was the day that really things started to change. And if you're in that situation right now, if you are feeling like everybody's out to get you, if you're feeling that the world is coming down on you, reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you. We don't have to do this on the air. We can just talk via email. But I'm telling you right now, I'm a living proof of it. God doesn't punish you. God doesn't want you to fail. He wants you to succeed. And He will be there. And it is like magic, because He is unbelievable, and He will change you. And when it does happen, it doesn't happen overnight. It took 2 years for me to realize what was happening to me. But when I finally realized that He was there for me, when I finally realized that I can believe in myself and believe in others and let them in, that is when my life started to change. That is when my faith started to get stronger. That is when exactly my strength in biceps of God being around me started to just beef up, and nothing could bring me down. So I challenge each and every one of you here today. If you're driving in your car right now and you're hearing this, you say, you know what? Today is the day that the Lord has made. Let me rejoice and be glad in it. It is now. Believe right now that this is meant for you. It's not meant just for any single person that wants to just flip on this channel and say, oh my goodness, it's a title about, having faith. No, I'm telling you right now, this is meant for you. I don't have to give you your name. You know I'm talking about you. And you had to hear this to realize that it's your turn. It's your time. It's your opportunity to step up, to stand up and believe in yourself and know that God is with you, that He hears you, that He believes in you, and He doesn't want you to fail. Believe that each and every day. Trust in Him. Trust in yourself. Believe in your family. Believe in all the things that have been given to you because you have the capability, the talents, the gifts that God has given you because you are a direct reflection and you are made in His image. And I say that to you with so much pride, so much joy as I smile here today and tell you that He has forgiven you, He believes in you, and He wants you to come home. And that's how I'm going to leave it. That's how I'm going to leave it. Look in the mirror and say to yourself what I say every day. What ended up being the best part of my life. And that is the words of our title of this show. Have faith. Let it begin.
Don't you see that you're